Have you tried Shikaku? You're going to. Hi guys, I'm Beck. This is Talk and Chalk, and today we're going to talk about Shikaku puzzles. I met the lovely Eddie Wu at a panel a couple of weeks ago now that was put on by Daniel at Lansville East, and there were some really great engaging conversations that were happening there. Towards the end of the panel though, Eddie Wu brought out this puzzle, looked very intriguing for us all to try, called Shikaku. And I think he described it as squares and rectangles. And I've looked up the translation. There's 7 different translations for this word. It's Japanese. But essentially we were doing the puzzle one, which is based on squares. So I'm going to show you today this puzzle and how it can range from smaller to bigger, and how you can use it in your classroom and how I've been using it. It's really good for things like area, part-whole relationships, numeral identification, one-to-one correspondence, and depending on which version of the puzzle that you use, it's going to help students develop those skills in different ways. I can tell you now, it's so engaging. My class are literally snatching it out of my hands to redo it, and I don't have rubbers in my room, so at the moment they've been snatching to get new ones, so I'm going to have to change my rubber rule and let them rub different things out on there to be able to do this. But I've got it saved on here on the computer, and I'm just going to use the Surface Pro to show you what I've been doing, and I'm going to show you a couple of websites that you can use. So if you want to maybe link it in Google Classroom as an activity for the kids to do, make it as a maths rotation, do it as a warm-up, it's really, really good. So I'm going to flip around. I'm going to use my phone to video the computer, so it might be a little bit wobbly, but I'll show you a few different versions and the websites. So let's have a look. Okay guys, so I've just taken you to mathresources.com/Shikaku, and when it comes up you'll get to select a difficulty. So just to show you, I'll just go with beginner and play. So this is what it looks like. You'll end up with these numbers generated, and the idea is that number is allocated to a certain amount of squares. So this 7 down here means that I need to create a square using 7 of these other squares, or rectangle, using 7 of these. So the numbers cannot cross over into each other, and they can't create things like L shapes or whatever. So I'll give you a bit of a demo. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm just dragging that over to do this one on the computer. So now this 12, I could see if that'll go across here, and you just have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So no, that's not 12. The only way I can make 12 is by going up. So I'm going to click on that and go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And you can see there how the students can practice counting in patterns to do that. So now my problem is going to be going to this 6. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's different options there. So I'm not going to pick that. This is where problem solving now comes into it. I need to go with a number where it's only got one option. So again, this 6 up here, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but that would leave an empty line there. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to go down here though, because I know this 9 can only go one way. I can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I haven't got enough room. If I count by 2s, I'm going to end up with an odd number at the top there, and it's not going to be a proper shape. So the only way I can go is to make 9 that way. Okay, so now I've got 10 here, 7 here, 16 here, and the 6 there. Well, the 6, I've still got various options. So I'm going to go with my 16, because realistically, there aren't many ways that this could go. I can't go up, I can't go across, I can't count by 2s this way. So I'm going to just highlight that one. So 4 by 4 is 16, which means my 6 must start here, because if I started it there, I'd have an empty square, and you're not meant to have any empty ones left over at the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoops. And now I can work on these other ones here. So this 10, I don't really have many options. I can really only go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and I can verify that by checking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for that one. So I'm just going to fill those ones in. 7, and then this one, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And so now that means my 8 can only go one way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the only option I've got for that 8. And now it's narrowing it down for my other fields. So if I look at my 6 here, there isn't only one way I can go. I can only do 2 by 3 and fill in those squares. Now my 4 I could do here, but then that would leave an empty set here, like this. So that's not right. It has to make sure they're touching each other. And now you can see I've only got one option left for my 9 and one option left for my 6. And that's completed. Okay, so that's a way that you could do it online. But what I did was I went to this website here, puzzleshikaku.com. And they've got a bunch of different ones that you can generate. So this is just a 5 by 5 grid. And if you go over to the side here where it says, where is it? Mass print, then you can get PDFs with a bunch of them on one page. And there's all the different sizes that you can get on the side here as well. So there's 7 by 7, 10 by 10, 15 by 15, 20 by 20, 25 by 25, and a special one. So I've got a file here where I went into it and got a bunch saved. So you can see here where I've saved them. And this is what the 5 by 5 looks like. I'll just open it up. So there's a bunch of different ones on one page. See how they're all different? So what I've done is I've just copied and pasted them individually into Word documents so that I don't have to print them off and then, you know, store them for later. So I copied one and then I pasted it multiple times into one Word document so that I could print it. Now this was the first one we did. I purposely went on and put the grid lines on there when I taught the class how to do this, just to give them a bit of structure. So we did this one all together and there was lots of conversation going on with it, and we even coloured some in. Then the next step was to move to this puzzle and try and do it themselves. I wanted them to try and imagine these grid lines in here and understand that there are squares represented inside there. This is really good for our kids that are you know, moving to that figurative level to try and imagine what is there and a representation for what is there. So from there, this is the multiple one now, where I've just got one puzzle multiple times on one page. Sorry there. So I did it nice and big so they could use it. Once I got used to that step, I then went smaller. So we've now moved on to, after that we moved on to 7 by 7 grids. So this was Monday, this was Tuesday, this was Wednesday, and I've got, you know, 6 on one page just to save on printing. And they just glue it into their book when they're done. So that's a 7 by 7 grid. And then the kids are doing so well. Keep in mind, I only have year 2. They've now moved on to a 10 by 10 grid. So they're up to bigger numbers now. And then next week we're going to move on to 15 by 15, and we're just going to keep going and see how we go. So I've now got to put these ones onto pages for them to have a go. So I'm just going to grab my pen and show you how to complete one, but I think we'll just go back a bit smaller. I think we'll go, let's do the 5 by 5 just so you can see how the kids could do it. So when I demonstrated it, I'm just going to get my Surface Pro pen, click draw, and let's get a nice color that you guys will be able to see. I think you should be able to see the blue. Oh. So looking at this, have a look. There's a few places that 4 could go. It could go 1, 2, 3, 4, or it could go 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's find something else that can only go one way. So this 4 could go up and down the side. This 2 could go that way. Okay, that 3. That 3 can only go one way. It can't go across. It can't go down because there's numbers in the way. 1, 2, 3. It's the only space it could go. Oh, do you know what? I need to make that thicker. Let's make that thicker again. Oh, why isn't that staying? Let's try that again. All right, a bit messy, but you get the idea. That's better. So there we go. 3 is done. This 2 could still go 2 different ways, so I'm not going to use that one. This 2 though can only go down. So there's that one. This 2 can't go up, can't go across, can only go down. So it goes that way, which now means this 2 can only go one way. So let's look at our other numbers now. This 3 can't go down because it would go into the other 3, so it can only go across. This 3 can't go across. It could go 1, 2, 3, or it could go 1, 2, 3. So not going to touch that one just yet. That 2 could go across, it could go down, it could go over there. This 4, however, though, can't go down, which means it could only make that box shape. So I'm going to box that in, which now means this 4 can only go one way. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now it's pretty much left itself for me. So that's how you would complete a 5x5 one. And it does take time to practice, and it takes time for kids to get used to it. So another strategy some of my kids have been using is just by colouring it in. There's one, there's a different one, there's a different one, there's a different one. Helps them see the difference between them. And the good part about it is when you get to things like this, the 2 and the 4, look at that similarity of how far it goes across. It's the same here, it's just more rows of them. And even when you're looking at your other relationships there, like, you know, if this was a 2 and a 3 here, it would be the same as the 2 and the 3 going the opposite way. They both would be 5. So let's have a look at what a 7x7 looks like. All right, I'm going to close that one and not save it. Don't save. Let's find the 7x7. Okay, so here's a 7x7 grid. And again, let's look for where you can only go one way. So this 2 can only go across. There. Okay, now that 2 could go up and down, or it could go across, so I'm not going to use that one. The 3 could go anywhere. The 4 could go anywhere. So I may have even started with something that's not very helpful to me. So let's go over this side. Okay, this 3 can only go one way. This 2 can only go one way. This 2 could go up or it could go down. This 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it must be doubled that way. So I'm going to go across and down and have a look. Bam, there's my 4 there. And here's your relationships here that you can look at. Look at that, guys. That's 4. This is 2 lots of 4. 2 lots of 4 is 8. Okay, this 2 could go any direction. This 3 could go any direction. This 3, however, now has only got one way. It could go 1, 2, 3. Can't go any other way, which now means this 2 only has one way to go. This 2 only has one way to go. This 2 could go either way. Let's have a look though. So this 6 could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's see if we can nut out some of the other ones. This 4 though, 1, 2, 3 can't go that way. 1, 2, 3 can't go that way. The problem is it would be a square of 4 here or a square of 4 there. This is where we teach our kids to think ahead. If I boxed in this 4 here, I'm going to be left with an empty space over there, which isn't allowed, which must mean that's how I have to fill it in. And now let's look ahead. So if I used this 6 to create a box like that, it leaves my 3 going this way and my 2 going that way. So thinking 2 steps ahead, I can solve these sections quite easily. And now look, you can easily see where these ones finish up. Okay. Okay guys, so you can see it does need a lot of scaffolding. When Eddie Wu spoke about this, I'm pretty sure he was referring to year 9 and year 10 students. And I went, do you know what? I can do that with year 2. They just need scaffolding. So we started with the 5x5 grid and it was really, really structured, heavily modeled, lots of prompting, lots of conversations. This week though, they're doing the 10x10 grid. And I've got my kids that, yes, cannot do the 10x10. Don't think that I'm just going, oh, they're all wonderful mathematicians. They can all do it. It's so easy. No, we need to structure it for our kids' needs. So some kids are still working on a 7x7. They did all move off the 5x5. They got that easily. And some kids will not get to the 15x15 while they're with me. You know, we're near the end of the year. I need to keep it, you know, interesting and engaging for them. The good thing is if you use those websites, there's tons of those puzzles to get generated. So you just print out new ones. Or let them go online and play the games that are online. Easy to use. So engaging though. They really love it. And the conversation that comes out of it, the problem solving that comes out of it, the thinking critically, picturing those numbers in their heads, picturing the patterns, picturing the squares. It all ties into working mathematically, which is really, really good. Great for if you're using things on a homework sheet. Great for a warm-up. You don't have to mark them. You don't have to score them. You just look at it. If you're someone who's new to it, you might want to practice it yourself first so you know which sections to go on. Once you get used to it, you start seeing the pattern as well too. So if you like it, give it a go. I will link all of those websites below so that you can print them off yourself. It's easy to copy and paste and just put it onto your own document so that you're not wasting paper. And I just get the kids to glue it in their book when they're done. They really, really like it. So I'll leave that one with you. Thanks, Eddie Woo, for sharing that wonderful puzzle with us. I've definitely taken the challenge on board, and I'm sure I'm going to get some kids beating your kids. They're up for the challenge. I know they can do it. If you like this activity, if you like the video, click to subscribe. The buttons and everything are all below. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest. Hit me up with a comment if you like it or if you've got a question about the activity. The only thing that I think I would like to add to it is kind of like Tetris tiles for those kids that are a bit unsure about it. I reckon I could print off some squares and rectangles and lay them down in different shapes and see if they could manipulate it that way. So if you haven't clicked to subscribe yet, I'll put my button down below. You can hover over it. I'll chuck one of my other videos at the top, and I hope you enjoy your Shikaku puzzles, guys. Thanks. Bye.